Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to continue with Lindsay Holiday's history tea time with looking at the Queens and Consorts of England. In this case, this is the Hanovers. So let's get back to our little history. So Queen Anne dies. And because Catholics, remember, they don't like Catholics. That's the reason we had issues with her father, because he dared to have a male heir and who was Catholic. So the British Parliament offered the throne to her cousin's son. So how this works is you go up the line, because through her father, who was King James II, to her grandfather, King James I, over to his daughter. And then that's down into the Hanover line. So his granddaughter was Sophia of Hanover, and George I is her son. And he's part of the group of men who choose the who basically elect the Holy Roman Emperor. So he's very, very German. So in this video, it's kind of interesting because before he becomes king, he gets married. He has 2 kids. His wife is, and I'm going to be looking at her list here, is Caroline of, Sophia Dorothea of Sicily. Now, she was the daughter of a love match, so she grew up in a welcoming, wonderful home. Her husband's a dick. He's a major dick. They have 2 kids, and he goes back to his mistress, and they hate each other. And eventually, she has an affair with a Swedish soldier. He finds out, divorces her, imprisons her, kills him. And so she has a son and a daughter. And her daughter actually ends up becoming the Queen of Prussia, which is the larger portion of what is now Germany. And he basically bans her from seeing her children ever again. So that's that. She dies before he becomes king. She eventually she overeats, she's miserable, she's in prison, she can't see her kids anymore, and he's a horrible human being. So she dies. And then by this time, he is, in fact, King of England. But again, they're divorced. Now, he's a pretty horrible human being. So he hates England, hates the English, refuses to learn the language. He moves over there, surrounds himself with Germans who speak German, because that's where he's from. He's German. And then eventually he dies about 9 days after her. Now, his son becomes king. His son is very, very different. His son hates his father. The loathing, despising is very, very common in this family tree of the Hanovers, so get used to that. His wife is Caroline of Anverac. Now, they are a love match. She was orphaned young and then was raised by eventually her husband's aunt. So he sneaks to see her one day. She's very educated, highly articulate, and was raised that way by, again, George's aunt, the king's aunt. So he sneaks to see her because he wants to know if he likes her, because she's beautiful. She's extremely intelligent. They do hit off. She doesn't fall for his disguise, and they get married and have multiple children. When his father becomes king, they move to England. They leave Frederick, their eldest son, in England or in Germany to be raised by tutors. This is a problem later. And then they take their 3 daughters with them. And they are very, very popular. They learn to speak English. They embrace the people. They hold various different parties and are essentially very, very nice and very well respected by the English people. Now, his dad dies, he becomes king. Again, they are very, very popular. Problem is, his son, Frederick, comes over. and they hate each other. Similar to his previous relationship, the previous king and his son didn't get along. The son, who was the Prince of Wales, I believe is what they called him still, was banned from government until his dad died. Same thing happens here. So Frederick has nothing. He's extremely opulent. He's very stuck up. He's very much insane. He's a pretty nasty human being. So he, however, dies before he never becomes king. He dies. His mother hates him. And yeah, his father gets, I believe it's him who gets a little nuts. Not quite that nuts, probably not the right king. But eventually he dies before his father. So his daughter-in-law is made basically the queen consort. Well, not the queen consort. Regent, suspected regent, for her son. Now, which doesn't end up happening. He's about 21 or something before his grandfather dies. Now, yeah, he's a lot like his, I'm trying to think, yeah. He's actually, no, he's not like his father. This is a grandfather thing. So he becomes king. He's married to a younger queen. His mother pushes him to marry a German princess, which is very, very common here. A lot of German princesses here. So that will be Charlotte of Mickelsburg. And they're actually decently popular. Once Mommy is gone away, his mother was she was bullied as the Princess of Wales, because she never became queen because her husband died. And so her son, she was always the queen. She was either the princess consort or the Princess of Wales, or the queen mother, as she would have been considered. She was very formal. She was very stuck up. She very much did not get along with her daughter-in-law, because her daughter-in-law was a little bit more relaxed, and the mother-in-law eventually was very formal. So once Mommy goes away, the king and queen are actually very happy. I believe this is George III. They have multiple children together, and they are very much a love match. They're the ones it's her husband who buys, I believe this is George III, buys Buckingham House, which becomes the Queen's house, which is now known as Buckingham Palace. So this becomes the royal residence. I think they have 7 total kids, so that live. Anyway, they have 7 kids. Her daughters only marry in their 40s. They're very, very well educated, but she doesn't want to let them go. Oddly enough, Queen Victoria is very similar, but that's another video. So they have multiple children, and they're very much, but of course he doesn't get along with his eldest son. Yes, this is the whole thing going on here. So again, this is King George III. So the American Revolution, a lot of things are going on here. But he's the one who goes, he's King George III, so he's going in and out of insanity, starting in his 50s. And eventually his wife moves out of the bedroom and he's going nuts. Her and her son do not get along. They fight quite frequently. I believe his name is Frederick as well. I could be wrong. She doesn't list the kings here. So again, the focus is on the monarchs. They do not get along, and there's battling back and forth. She eventually gets sick and dies before her husband. He's going insane. So her son is regent. He kind of takes over because dad's gone bonkers. Now, by the time he takes over officially, he marries, he gets married. Him and his wife they hate each other. to put it mildly. They have one child, Princess Charlotte. He had sex with her all of 3 times. They don't see each other until their wedding day. They do not like each other. She was very, very sheltered. She was very, very beautiful, but her parents sheltered her like crazy. They are cousins, but again, they loathe and despise each other. She's separated from her daughter, Charlotte. She raises a bunch of orphans. She's actually extremely popular. He is not. People do not like him at all. He's very indulgent. He's very fat. He's very opulent. So eventually, she goes away. She leaves. She gets fed up with this, being isolated, being treated like crap by him. She goes, goes to Italy, I believe, and takes up with her servant and is having an affair and does not care. And she's kind of happy away. He does something horrible. Basically, her daughter gets married. Her daughter dies of smallpox. He does not tell her. So she finds out through other channels and is infuriated. He's crowned king in a massively opulent ceremony. She shows up. He tries to get rid of her. She has nothing to do with it. Now that he's king, he tries to divorce her. It doesn't work because the House of Lords says, fine, she's having an affair. We're going to strip you of your queenship and everything. The House of Commons does not. And she he had, prior to marrying her, had an illegal marriage to his Catholic mistress, which was dissolved because otherwise his father pretty much bribed him to divorce her to an extent, to end the relationship, to annul it. And so his legal wife pretty much says the only time she had an affair was with Mrs., and she names his mistress, the woman who he had married, technically before her. So she actually gets sick and dies shortly thereafter, probably of cancer. And he actually tries to send her off to Germany without any fanfare. The British people, who again adored her because she was very much philanthropist. She was into giving to people. They steal her coffin and parade it through the streets, and give her a proper send-off. She's sent to Germany, where she is buried. That she was basically here lies Charlotte, basically the, I think it was the abandoned queen of the king of England. So his son takes over. Again, they don't like each other. Well, no, it's not his son, because Frederick they only have the one daughter. So it passes to one of his brothers. So this is where you get kind of the ending here. So prior to this, when they realize that Charlotte is dead and there's no heirs, the Parliament is pushing for his brothers to get proper wives. It's like, marry proper princesses. Stop messing around with your mistresses, please. So the next king and the next eventual queen is really moving on here. I believe it's Annelade of Saxon-Megan. The previous queen was Caroline of Brunswick. So I may have mixed things up a little bit here. But again, this is, watch the video. It's far more important than me reviewing it. But she's the next queen. And she's the sister. She's a German princess. Her and her sister-in-law, the two brothers, I think the Duke of York, Queen Victoria's parents, and Caroline of Saxon-Mehan, or Megan, I'm mispronouncing this, they marry in a joint wedding, because again, they're German princesses, and these men are marrying because their brother lost his wife and is not going to have any more children because he's been denied a divorce. So not to mention he's fat and miserable and spends his time hiding away. So these two live in Hanover, and they come over to England. They're actually mostly well liked for the most part, but it's around this time that you get some laws in England that allows the rich to take over common lands, common farming lands. And so the distance between the rich and the poor is lengthened. So she becomes less popular due to some of this. It's obvious, kind of, her husband's not entirely paying attention. But she has multiple miscarriages and children who die in were stillbirth. She gives birth to stillborn twin boys. She had a daughter who seemed strong, but dies of, I think, a heart defect or something. So they have no children. And there's actually a huge age difference. She's like 24. He's like 50 when they marry. But they do enjoy each other. It is a kind of a love match. But after this point, they're pretty much like, we're not going to have kids. So his brother, the Duke of York, and his wife have a daughter, Victoria, and Victoria is recognized as the heir. So that's pretty much it for this video. After this, it ends with the crowning of Queen Victoria. So the next video covers Prince Albert, Mary Teft, which is the current Queen Elizabeth's grandmother, and her mother, obviously, and obviously Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and then the now deceased Prince Philip. So that is it for this video. If you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I do a lot of book reviews. These things are balancing off the Princess Diaries, why this is highly historical and very intelligent and well done videos that I recommend. The Princess Diaries is absolutely completely fun fluff, but I've tried to do some sort of balancing here. So be sure to check out that series. I've done a variety of other book series, and there's plenty more to come this year, along with various film reviews. I do more serious stuff. I do picture books. I do a bunch of stuff, so be sure to check it out. A lot of it's theme-based, depending on the month. So yes, there will be Black History. I have some Black History month stuff that's already posted. There's more to come, along with a variety of other things. I also do some kids travel videos, and I'll be doing more secular homeschooling videos. If we do curriculum stuff, I'll add that along with other educational stuff. By the time you guys see this, my daughter will be about 3.5. At the time I'm shooting it, she's about 2.5 and sleeping, because that's when I film things, when she's sleeping. So be sure to check out the rest of the channel. Again, like and subscribe, leave a positive comment if you have one, and thank you.